I went to that conference and I was like, well, that takes care of the business side that I'm scared about because I don't know how to run a chiropractic office. I want to be a chiropractor. It literally that night, I called my parents. I was like, I'm opening a practice.
This is the Startup Social Podcast, your inside look at the Austin startup world. We get real with local founders and business owners who share their toughest challenges and biggest wins.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Daniel Griggs. I am not going to read this intro every single time because I don't feel like saying it every single time. We just played an intro for y'all anyways, and y'all know what the show about. So what I am going to do is introduce our guest, Miss Jeannique Norbert, soon to be, what is it going to be at some point?
More.
Last
name More.
Are you going to say Jeannique Norbert Moore, or are you going to eliminate your last name?
It's going to be my last name.
It's going to be your last
name?
All right.
Yeah.
So let me read out the introduction real quick, and then we'll get into it. Dr. Jeannique Norbert is a board-certified doctor of chiropractic who brings a positive and enthusiastic energy to the chiropractic health approach. She graduated from University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns. I know. I love saying it now. In 2010, and she received a Bachelor of Science degree in microbiology, pre-med. Dr. Norbert earned her Doctor of Chiropractic degree from Texas Chiropractic College in Pasadena, Texas in 2015. An active member of International Chiropractic Pediatric Association and certification in the Webster technique for pregnant women. There you go. Man, my wife could have come to you 4 times.
4.
No more, though. Dr. Jeannique Norbert specializes in prenatal care, postpartum care, infants, children, and family wellness. This allows her to provide a unique approach to caring for the entire family. Thank you so much for coming along and being on the show today. So,
thanks for having me.
Most definitely. So we'll hop into. I'll kind of tell how me and Jeannique know one another. So we both were in a BNI group out in Lakeway, 2015. Was it 15?
15 and 16.
It is when I started.
Yeah.
2015. I think it was like the end of 2015.
End of 2015.
Yeah. So we connected there. Talking about businesses. I know a lot of the stuff that you were going through to try to at least get your facility and all that stuff going on during the time. We connected with business. We're building out your website and everything else. But I want to let you hop into telling us more about your background, just of course who you are, where you're from, and how you got into the chiropractic field.
Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of people call me Dr. J.
It's true.
So it's good for people to know my full name because I don't think a lot of people actually do. My background. Well, like you mentioned, so my office is in Lakeway, Lake Travis area. I've been out there since 2015. My family's been in Texas for most of my life. I'm originally from the Caribbean, so born in St. Lucia, grew up in Trinidad, moved to the States.
How old were you when you moved to the States?
I was 5, going on 6, so started first grade.
Did you ever have an accent?
Definitely. Definitely. It's on all my home videos, and when I'm with my family, it comes back. Yeah, when we go back to Trinidad, they actually don't realize that they know I'm from there.
Yeah.
Because it's back. So yeah, I've been in Texas and moved to Austin my senior year of high school from Dallas, which is where we started living in Texas. And, went off to UT where the whole time, I'm kind of one of those cliche people. I really have my whole life wanting to be a doctor. And it was just a matter of determining what type of doctor I wanted to be. But anyways, yeah, I was actually in the marching band at UT since we're Longhorns here. We can pick up some of the Longhorn background. So
now when you went to, why did you choose UT? Was it because you were already in Austin?
Oh.
But you was only in Austin for like 1 year though.
Oh, UT. I chose UT when I was still living in Dallas. I was, so I'm actually like a former / always major band nerd. And when I was in high school, my brother was actually the drum major for Bands of America the year that UT was playing Michigan, I believe. So we were out in California to watch that rehearsal, but all the bands that were involved in the Rose Bowl were at that rehearsal at that high school. And so UT's marching band was there. And I think I was like a sophomore or a junior in high school. And I saw that marching band. And I mean, it was just, that was it. Really, me going to UT was, I have to be in that marching band.
Yeah.
Truly, that's the story. And of
what
course,
instrument did you play?
I played piccolo in the band. My original instrument is the flute, but UT only marches piccolos. So before the summer before college, I learned the piccolo. Because it's the same keys and everything, just a smaller instrument.
How difficult was that to make the band at UT? The marching band.
They should make a reality TV show over that whole process. I'm not kidding. It's it varies year to year, but the band does usually march. The numbers may have changed now, but it's usually about 480, and there's always at least 100 more of that than that more than that number trying out. So we go through an entire Hell Week. The week.
Yeah, Hell Week is
that's what it's called.
Damn.
It's Hell Week, and we are rehearsing. We're practicing. It's this whole thing. We do practice in the same bubble that the football players practice in. So we just exchange with the players. You go through a week of that, of again, marching rehearsal, playing rehearsal. It's all day, out in even parking lots, learning drills. And then you get down to tryout day. The tryout day itself is a whole day. And then you have to camp out and wait you don't even know when they're coming out with the results. And somebody just comes and one by one per section.
So
sit up.
What's
so
the movie
it's
called?
Drumline. It's a drumline.
Is that kind of accurate?
It's actually very accurate.
Damn.
During the season,
I didn't think it was.
You have, because you might have gotten selected to march, but during the season, if you say you forget your drill one day at practice, or you were late to a rehearsal, or you're not playing right and a section leader hears you, you get put up for a challenge. And they do a challenge usually before each game. The alternates get to try and battle for your spot, and you lose your spot. Some people never get to march, even if they make it, because they end up being an alternate the whole time. But some people who don't make their section, those are actually the people who are even doing the Big Bertha drum. Yeah. Those are actual, and also too holding the flags. And those people get handpicked by their section leaders. Say they didn't make the cut to play their instrument, but they exhibited great character and all that kind of stuff during the Hell Week. And between the section leaders and the band directors, they handpick people to hold the big flags and the ones who move the
You are
Bertha
teaching
drum.
me something today. I did not.
Yeah.
Did you know that was like that?
So I was a section leader my last few years. So, which you have to try out for too, but then that gives you, of course, immunity during Hell Week, because you already had to make it before the next season as section leader. So now you switch roles and you play a part in picking the members.
How stressful was that?
Being section leader?
No, just the whole experience, especially going into it like a freshman. Because they don't do anything like that in high school, do they?
No.
Not that intense,
no,
at least.
Because in high school, you're part of the band if you want to be in the band. Now it just depends what chair you're going to be. Yeah. You know, what's your order in the band. I would say, just having flashbacks, I feel like I'm surprised I never threw up. It's just that process of waiting and, waiting for the results. You only get one chance, it matters what you did the whole week, but like in the playing rehearsal, the marching drills, and you're memorizing music, they actually make you memorize like the fight song and stuff we play. Everybody memorizes that already because that's part of your tryout. Of course. The fight song, the school song. But so in that moment, if you suck, I remember in my sophomore year, the saxophones, that there was a dilemma, not a dilemma, it was just there were so many people trying out for that line that year. And they'll cut, doesn't matter if you're a senior, they'll cut you if your points didn't line up.
That's just seniority.
There's no seniority. There is, I learned that as a freshman. You're seeing people who are actually maybe going on to season 5, like doing graduating in 5 years, get cut because somebody might be coming up and some freshman who's gunning for it, and you have a section where they march 30 and there's 60 trying out, they'll cut you if you're not.
I had no idea that band in college was that intense.
Well, we're the show, but UT kind of, we have our band is very visual. Yeah. We're a show band, and it's big, and there are a lot of people that try out for it. So
how was balancing that with college? Because you a doctor, you did a lot of college. But even starting off in at UT, how was balancing that with, what was your major?
Microbiology pre-med.
Yeah.
So that was a very early part of balancing the course schedule with extracurriculars. I would say, kind of a common understanding in life, most times the people who are busiest actually are the ones who are keeping up with their stuff better versus those who maybe only have school to do.
I agree.
Not extracurriculars. Yeah. So I actually think that it really helped. I did learn my freshman semester, or fall semester freshman year, though. I kind of came in unintentionally, like I guess a lot of people start college or start at UT where it's like, hey, I got this, put like 15 hours on my schedule for that fall semester with marching band. So I learned very early during, marching season, don't like pile on 15 hours just because you think you can. And so that was the biggest change I had to like get used to, because we practiced Monday. It was like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And little known fact, the marching band only practices 3 days a week for like 2 hours. And then
really?
And that's it. We learned shows in that time, but so that was my evening. So I had to learn, how to schedule my study time. Yeah. I would stay up late most times or just wake up early. And I mean, you kind of get thrown into it, and you figure out how to work that schedule. Yeah. As a result, I never did basketball band in the spring, because that was a fun option for those of us. But spring was just the time I took off from extracurriculars, and I did, so it was fall was football and school, and I really feel like I balanced it. I learned to balance it. It was just a normal part. It was a huge normal part of my college experience. And
so you go through college, bachelor's, and then you go get your what was next?
So my junior year of college was when I started thinking like, okay, because I was doing I was entering classes to do the MCAS, did those classes, and it was like the first time I really started thinking like, do I want, is this the path I really want to go down? This, it was like, this is the path I want to go down. Fast forward to the summer right before senior year, and I'm starting to narrow down where I want to be in medicine. I decided I wanted to do reconstructive plastic surgeon for pediatrics. That was actually my first awareness of the fact that there are specialties within medicine that, it's so common for there being so many providers for adults, but not for kids. And that came about after actually a big accident. My family, I wasn't in it, but my family was in. And we were looking for a couple of providers for my youngest brother, who was 10 at the time. And he had to be care flighted to a different hospital just because at this huge hospital, there's no one who did this pediatric like neurosurgery. And then after that, it was okay. There's no one who does pediatric reconstructive plastic surgery. I mean, they're there, but there's like just a few in town. Yeah. So that narrowed me down there. Senior year, I started shadowing an orthopedic team with Texas Ortho. At Brackenridge for like a month and a half to really get into, the surgery scene. They got me in with the plastic surgeon next door to them. So for a month and a half, every Friday, 6 a.m., I was scrubbing into surgeries at Brackenridge.
Dang.
And it was...
How was it seeing it the first time?
It was was awesome. Like to this day, I'm, the little did I know back then that it was actually going to be very beneficial to see what goes on in on the orthopedic side, because there's some cross, they were the first, that was the first opportunity for me to get a chance to see when it's needed, it's needed, and there are like awesome things going on in OR. Even what I saw with the plastic surgeon, the reconstructive surgeon, amazing stuff. I also got to see the outpatient side of things, and I really loved the guys that I shadowed, the ortho team. Can I give them a shout out?
Go ahead.
Dr. Laverty, Bohr, and Kilbright, Texas Orthopedics.
Laverty, I said it again?
Laverty, Bohr, and Kilbright.
Nice.
So I think they're still a team. And they were great. I would see them, really letting people know in an outpatient setting. They send people out, refer them if they didn't need surgery. It was like, if you don't need the surgery, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
And they'd let them know, hey, you can only get this shot like one more time as far as a pain steroid shot, and we got to send you out. And so I'd see them referring. And so that opened my eyes, because I started having this feeling of now what? What happens? Are they done? Like, they're still having issues, pain, whatever. And so the other part that came with that was also the hospital setting is so stressful.
The hospital setting? I'm sure it is.
It's again, God bless the people who are working in the hospitals
in
these emergency scenarios, because it's a hectic environment. And I really started thinking about very early on in life, like, how do I want my lifestyle to be? I was like, I'm walking into this OR at 6 a.m. with my hands swinging, just putting on a gown and walking in here. What time did they get here? It's like, did they go home?
Yeah, for real.
Can they? Have they been called? I started very early. Asking myself, like, what's the lifestyle that I would want long term? Didn't change my mind as far as wanting to be a doctor. So it was the beginning of, I say, I think I said on my website, I feel like chiropractic found me. Once I really got a moment to hone in on really how I've lived my entire life. I also give credit to my origins in the Caribbean. A lot of things that I didn't, was very normal to me, as far as, using herbs and like literally when I was a kid in Trinidad, I remember, like, if we were sick, there's this lady in town that they called the bush lady, because you go there, she's an older lady, and she literally mixes up concoctions of herbs and like plants. Essentially, like what's the awareness that's been brought about over the years of like essential oils, like literally plants and spices, and like literally making therapeutic, like holistic medicine for people that didn't involve. And now there's a combination of, healthcare and shit. So I started thinking, okay, well, I know the hospital setting isn't for me. So it was never about surgery is not for me. It was like, I don't want to be in the hospital, so maybe I'll go into like a clinic setting. And again, my mindset there was like, well, I could be a GP. I remembered seeing a great need for that on like med school applications. And then I told myself, I was like, well, and I have to give a disclaimer, and it's what I educate my patients on too, where I say there's a time and place for all aspects of medicine. Sometimes I think people think like it's a either or this person's doing one thing wrong. I think the thing is that certain aspects get overutilized in medicine before people are searching or are seeking other options that are actually safer in the long run. And so in that moment, I was like, well, I probably can't be a GP, because I don't actually I don't want to have a headache. Like, I was a kid when I was 12, was actually the first time I went to the chiropractor. My parents took me. And I was having blazing headaches that no one knew what was wrong with me, except for this chiropractor who my dad didn't know to really take me to, besides the fact that he went and did a talk at their company, like a lunch and learn. And even in that time though, I wouldn't take medicine because I was a kid. I wasn't doing it for any reason.
Yeah.
Or like, don't believe in it. I was just like, I just don't feel right to take it. I mean, something's wrong. And
you was having consistent headaches, like
I was having
regularly?
consistent. I mean, to the point where they were I went to get an MRI, CT scan. They were doing blood work because they were so bad. They were saying you have migraines and they want to make sure, which they should have, and it was necessary that you have a tumor or something going on extreme to give me these headaches. So when we basically got to the end of the road with that, again, it was like, well, what now?
What do you do?
And there was nothing else besides take this.
Yeah,
and I
bush lady not around the corner.
And my mom would always be upset because she's a mom and she's seen me suffering. She's like, take the Tylenol. And I didn't take it. I wouldn't take it. So again, fast forward back to, well, it turns out I was having tension headaches. The chiropractor, I did go to the chiropractor. I don't know how long it was that I went, but I remember I went regularly. He told me that, he asked me about how I was carrying my backpack. I had a cool off the shoulder, one shoulder backpack. Yeah. I mean, at 12 years old, just seeing an x-ray, I could see like a scoliosis in my back. And he was just like, you're having tension headaches, not migraines. And it was the chiropractor. Like I haven't had headaches like that ever again. Like if I have one, it's sporadic. It's a tension headache as per usual, but I do keep regularly adjusted myself, so I don't really get that. But that was what resolved that issue. So when I came back around to like, maybe I'll be a GP, I was like, well, I don't take medicine for everything, so it wasn't resonating with me, with my soul there.
Yeah.
Like, well, what do I do? So I started looking into the natural realm after that. This was like, I did 4.5 years at UT. And so this last semester, I was looking at other stuff. I was looking at Ayurvedic medicine. I was even like, started off like, maybe I'll be a PA because at least I don't have to work the hours of the doctor, but do the same thing the docs are doing. Like, but I was like, no, I want to be a doctor. Yeah. And December, 2010, when I was about to graduate, I was at a party, like an engagement party for a friend from UT, and there was one of my friends there. I'd known him since freshman year. Had just finished his first semester in chiropractic school in Dallas, and he had wanted to be a chiropractor. Everybody knew Reese wanted to be a chiropractor. But nobody asked questions. I didn't, But at that point, my mind was open to hearing more. Yeah. And he told me about school. I was asking him questions, and it was one of those like, why haven't I looked into this? Like, he told me the one thing that really is what chiropractic is all about. He said, well, if you think about it, he said, the nervous system controls everything. And I was like, well, yeah, duh. I'm going science background. And he said, the spine protects the nervous system. He says chiropractors were working with the nervous system to optimize overall health. Like, it was just, he wasn't trying to convince me on anything. It was just me asking him questions. And I was like, okay, well, duh. Like, I almost like felt a feeling of, why haven't all my years, nothing against my teachers or anything like that. It's just a different, I was like, why has this never been presented in this way? And so everything came full circle. Just even remembering my experience as a kid. I was even going to a chiropractor while I was at UT, who was down the street in Bee Cave, Dr. Rao. He's still my chiropractor. But I didn't know. I saw chiropractic for a piece of what chiropractic is and not for a whole. So I always tell people I empathize all fully with folks who are like, well, I don't need to go back to the chiropractor. I don't have a headache, or I don't have neck pain. Like, my back doesn't hurt, because that's like how I was.
That's how most people think about it. Like, my back doesn't hurt, and because I kind of had that. I had headaches often when I was younger. I never went to the chiropractor or anything. The first time I went to the chiropractor was because I was in middle school and playing football, and somebody was getting tackled this way, and I went and hit him, and I ducked my head, and it hit like the top of my head. Like I fell on the ground and was like, and so like my coaches had to come and grab me and stop me from shaking. Was like, calm down. And so my back was like messed up. And that's the first time I went to a chiropractor and I was doing strengthening and stuff like that. That's when I got introduced to it. I didn't really get into it until I was in Seattle when I was playing football. My first year I was playing football. And I went to the chiropractor. I was on I actually had a sciatic nerve issue. It was like on a long trip. And I went to the chiropractor and he adjusted me. And he grabbed my neck some kind of way and either turned it or pulled it or something. And it was just like, of course you heard the sound. But when I got up, I was like, I got an extra lung. It was. Yeah. And you feel like lightheaded. And he was like, you had so much tension, just like in your whole body. Mm-hmm. And even now, if I go to the chiropractor and I get an adjustment just from work and typing and being on my phone, just posture things, I'll feel it. Like I'll feel a tension actually come up my neck, and it's like at the back of my head. Yes. And I'll get an adjustment, and when I stand up, it's like, oh. Extra lung. I like that. But it does. It feels because I could breathe a lot better. And I was like, I remember one time I went and she was like, she told me, she said she got a rib out of. I was like, a rib out of place. It's like, how? I mean, of course I box, but I was like, how should I have a rib out of place? Well, she told me that I had just got this laptop. And I was doing a lot of work on it when usually I'm on my phone. And she said that if your body is compressed in a certain way, it can kind of do whatever. Yeah, it shifts things. And it was interesting. But even when she did that, and I had to put my hands by my head, and she did something, and it was the same thing. I was like, God, I'm so relieved. So when you go through all this, you choose chiropractic. Yes. Take me through the story, which I know a large part of, but kind of take me through the process or the story of you trying to get your own chiropractic office, etc. Yes, and I always think and prepare what the shortest way is to explain the story. Every business owner has their story, right? Yeah. So, which I learned very quickly. So, I decided just a few months before I graduated chiropractic school that I was going to open. That was a process as well. Just realized after shadowing a lot of doctors during school, I didn't start school thinking I was going to open right after school. And in fact, I was like, I'll probably open 5 years after I graduate. Yeah. So, it seems like it will be typical with most people. Yeah, it seems, starting a business seems like very lofty. Especially just starting school. But, through a series of, again, circling back around to the chiropractor I was going to in college, I was shadowing other docs like all across. I would travel to Dallas during breaks to see chiropractors, just chiropractors that I heard about or like admired. I just go and they like let me shadow. And so this, after clinic years of school, I realized, how variable it could be per office. Not like anything wrong going on in one office versus the other, but the doctor in charge definitely gets to lead how, take care of patients, what techniques to use, that kind of thing. So I was like, I need to open on my own. And like, it suits, it was this life coming full circle. Where I'm like, that suits my personality. Yeah. Where it's like, so I decided it was actually my 26th birthday. I was at a conference in Orlando, Florida. So it was a chiropractic conference. And it was basically the mentorship group that I'm still in, where it's other chiropractors. And it's helping. It was an understanding of how to run like an efficient office centered around, not just efficiency, but a patient-centered office that allows you to, not have to turn away patients, learning how to run an office where you can actually see people when they want to come in and not be like on a 3-month waiting list. So anyways, once I went to that conference and I was like, well, that takes care of the business side that I'm scared about because I don't know how to run a chiropractic office and how to be a chiropractor. It literally that night I called my parents. I was like, I'm opening a practice. And it was my 26th birthday. And that's when it started. And like, as you know, it's like once you make the decision, like you start right away. Yeah. And so, March 2015, I went out, came back to Austin. It was a weekend from school. So I hadn't graduated yet. I was graduating in April.
looked at some places, and went to Lakeway, wanted to live in the hills. Remind me of the Caribbean. That is why I picked Lakeway.
Really?
Some people think I did like some fancy demographic work. I like landed in like the most amazing community. I didn't actually know it. Besides, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Like that was my demographic research. Which since I moved to Austin, that's my senior year. The landscape was amazing to me out there in the hill country because Dallas is so flat. So I decided long before I knew I was going to be a chiropractor, long before I knew I was going to open a business, that I was going to live in the hills one day. Yeah, and that is why I picked Lakeway. Anyways, found a place. Felt like I was very ahead and prepared. Signed a lease, hadn't even graduated yet, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm ready."
You're just going into it.
Yeah, wanted to start off small. I had a floor plan with the help of my group and mentors in that group. Local chiropractors in Austin too.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know. A lot of chiropractors, we actually help each other. It's not a competition.
Yeah.
There's so many people who need care, and so
it's enough for everybody.
It's enough for everybody, and too many people don't know about chiropractic, and so we actually all help each other. So they were my guiding light, and yeah, I was like, well, when do I have to open? I was like, do I have till September? They're like, you have till August. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, we're hitting the ground rolling. This is happening. Basically, that is not what happened. I ended up in a scenario very early on where I learned in business. Sometimes there are people who definitely don't have your best interest in mind, as long as they kind of get their bottom line.
Very true.
There was a whole ownership transition of the building I was going into. Adorable, cute, historical building, in the older side of Lakeway. And a lot of things were being promised that I had no idea it was not true, as far as when the build out was going to be starting, that permits were done, that turns out permits were not done. Like it was like month to month, something new was happening. And that's why they were like, oh, you don't have as much time because we already have all these permits. Yeah. And, as long as you don't have to make too many changes from the original floor plan, like you're good to go. And turns out none of that was true. Jeez. And, Thanksgiving comes around 2015 and the conversation is just being had about who's the architect on the project. So I was relying on a realtor, a property manager, and owners that are taking care of things. I definitely had the mindset of following up. Yeah. But what was being followed up with me was not.
You're a very detailed person.
I'm very detailed. I can't help it. It's a sickness.
Yeah. Well,
but at least it helps with my job.
Yeah.
But I'm on it, and. So basically permits were done pretty quickly by the time they started because of other connections. Sir Judd Olson, he's great. He's great. Another B&I person I met, he just was part of that group. A lot of people who saw me networking. I was networking for months. Yeah. I had no office. But I had some business cards. Yeah. I was working on a website.
You was. I will say you were like at it, because I was thinking to myself too. I was just when you were telling me some stuff, a lot of stuff that was going on. I was like, man, that's tough, because you have to have a physical place to do these things. Or I know you're just driving around place to place, but you was like, that's a mentality that most people don't have. Mm-hmm. Like it's like I have to make this work at least with what I have until I get to the point. And I love that. Yeah. Like it was a ton of things that you were doing that, like I say, the average person is like, I have a location. I can't do anything. So I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to keep searching. And honestly, Judd is a great guy. We both know Judd. But even when even in his position, I can't really speak for him. But for me, if I see someone not just going through a situation like that, but they're actually steady trying to figure it out and make it work, it makes you as a person be like, I gotta help them out in some kind of way. Yeah.
He came right back around exactly with just that he was ready to help, not even knowing my whole situation. Yeah. Basically, but as a whole, my mindset from the beginning, and before I knew things, realized things weren't coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
My whole scenario is, all my life I always felt like if I can visualize something, then I can make it happen.
Yeah.
If I can't visualize it, like, it's just not going to happen. So I was
Agreed.
visualizing this office, or just being in Lakeway. The community had really, over the time that I was networking with that office, is so supportive, and I could still see it. So I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I can see this, and I'm going to make it happen. So I actually started even driving for Lyft.
Nice.
During that time, because I decided I wasn't going to, like, networking was going to be my job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't going to try to work in another office because I had an office coming.
Yeah.
Like, that was in my mindset. I was like, I have an office coming. So yeah, to do what I needed to do, I drove for Lyft.
Man, girl, you got to grind.
I was.
It could be overlooked because you're very soft-spoken.
Oh yeah.
But it was I didn't even know all of this.
Oh yeah.
But that is
I drove for Lyft.
it's grind.
The soft-spoken side, the seemingly soft-spoken side of me, is what also it was something that I learned more about myself during the process, because there came a time where I realized I think these people are actually trying to push me around. I think I don't like to get in confrontation, but I'm also one of those people where it's like, if I have to, I will.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those where, because of the fact that I don't get in confrontation often, and all that, when it's time to happen, people are just like, what? So
it's like you kindness for you for a week.
Yeah, but I didn't really truly know until March 2016 that, hold up,
wow,
something's going on. So January, though, 2016, I started doing home visits.
Yeah.
Because there was one more step of the permitting process that I had to go through. And 2016 came around, and I was like, okay, I have to start working.
Yeah.
Like, I prepared for a small period of time, because all my colleagues said, build out is ever done when it says it's going to be done.
Yeah.
So but mine was longer than it should have ever been.
Way too extended.
So I was working at the Grove, I used to, do whatever, work at the Grove, probably doing content for the website or something. And a lady came up to me who had known me from the past. She was an old neighbor, hadn't seen her in years. Like, the last time she saw me, I think I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And she was small. We were small talking. Found out I was a chiropractor. She actually asked me if I did home visits, not knowing anything about, like, anything that I was going through. And I just said yes. It was one of those, like, definitely don't, but I'm gonna figure it out. I was like,
I know what you
don't
mean.
do that, but I do now. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And she was, so I had a portable table that I had gotten in school. I already had all my paperwork because of my mentorship group. Like, I had a laptop to do spinal scans. Like, I bought things because I should have already been in practice months ago. I even had an X-ray machine sitting in a storage place, but I didn't obviously travel around with that.
Of course.
And so I started. She was my first official person. Started doing home visits, and I had I think 3 or 4 other people. Throughout that process, and that's how I started. March. One of the local doctors in Lakeway, we had a table next to each other. I was at a vendor table at an event at Primrose for my still non-existent office that was coming. And she was like, it was Dr. Jeannique Norbert, and she was like, are you still not in your office yet? And I was like, oh no. But I never got into the story with anyone. And she told me she said I could start seeing patients in her office whenever she wasn't with her patients. Yeah. And so that was like March and April of 2016. Then May was when I decided to let go of the realtor that was on my project because of another mentor that I had. I have to give a shout out to SCORE Austin. If no business owner has heard of SCORE, it's a nonprofit. It's basically former business owners who've made their bucks and are now giving back, and it's free mentorship in like almost any category you'll need for business.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a mentor, and she was guiding me. She told me, she was like, at this point in time, you either get a new lease for your office because ownership had changed, or you let go of your realtor. Let go of the realtor, got threatened that she was going to sue me. Wow. Like, it was this whole thing, but I didn't pay attention to it because I knew it was bogus. And but was able to get out of the lease with that old place. Again, a lot of other pieces of the story. Some lawyers who listened to my whole case. They were like, "You have a case. There is fraud on the previous owner, breach of contract, all this. This realtor did. I won't get into all, but
damages and everything else.
They're like, you got a case, but here's the deal." And this is one of two statements I'll always remember. They said, "You need to decide what you like. Go back to when you started this process." He said, "Are you here to make money on what you've lost in the last year, or are you here to get to work?" Like, you do have a case, but this is going to take a long time. You're going to have to put down this retainer. They were very honest. They were like, you're probably going to have to put the retainer down again because this is going to take some time, but you certainly have a case. And so I was like, I'm here to serve. I'm here to be a chiropractor. I did not want any of this. So we cut the deal. Took about a month even to get out of that lease. Got a new realtor. The first day, the new realtor and I went out to look at new spots. It was very disheartening because there was a lot of stuff that was coming up, but I didn't have any more time to wait on a build out. No more.
You needed something right now.
Yeah. I decided to go to a networking event that I hadn't been to in months because I basically stopped going to stuff for like months. I think it was like 6 months. I stopped going to chamber events, all this stuff that I loved that helped me actually build a lot of trust in the community that paid off when I started. I had stopped, but at the end of this day, I was like, I'm going to go to the infamous brewery. It was the Gap. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go get beers and friends. But it was a networking event, and saw Judd. And Judd hadn't seen me in like 6 months. And he was like, "Dr. J, how's the office going?" And I was like, "Oh, pull the plug on that." No one ever knew what was going on. You were probably one of the few people who knew some insight. Yeah. Because I didn't want to speak on it. Because I'm like, why speak on it? This has to get resolved. So I'm not going to even like try to dwell on it.
Don't give it any more energy.
Yeah. Exactly. But not even knowing any of that, Judd was just like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm at a temporary spot right now, Dr. Katrini." He asked me what I was looking for. Told him, I told him, and he was like, "Dr. J," and he said, "Sometimes we all need to know when to ask for help." That was the first thing he said. And in my mind, I'm like, I've been asking for so much help. Like, I have all these people around me guiding me on what to do.
He's known in Lakeway area too.
Yeah, and he said, sometimes people need to know when to ask for help. And sometimes we all just need a break. And he said, "You need a break." And he said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I was like, "Nothing."
You tell me.
Driving a car and seeing some patients. And from 4 to 8 p.m. This office is outlined. And we went to the Grove, Lola's. He told me basically everything unfolded that day. The following morning, he showed me the temp spot upstairs above Lola's Savannah. Didn't ask him how much it was. He opened the door. I said yes. It was like windows overlooking all of the hill country. And we talked about the plan basically that would unfold to where even the office I'm at now. I was in the temp office. See, that was a Wednesday. He and I had that meeting. I moved my stuff in that Saturday, opened doors on Monday. Everything of the past was officially done in a matter of days. I was ready, so it was just walk right in and get started. And 1.5 years later, Judd built out my office to where I am now. Moved in December 13, 2017, and custom office exactly how I dreamed, in an even better spot than I thought. And hopefully that's where we're at for.
It's amazing how things it's amazing how those things unfolded, though.
Everything came full circle.
So right now, you're engaged.
Yes.
So what's the Really quick, how much time are we on right now, Chris?
46.
46. We got like a couple more minutes.
Okay.
What's the next goals for Dr. J and Empower? I don't think I ever said out the name. Empower Family Chiropractic. Empower Family Chiropractic.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing for you and your chiropractor?
Yeah, so, I do have dreams of, I'm kind of old-fashioned, I have dreams of having that practice that's just in the community for years, growing, seeing kids grow, families grow in the office. Next transition, because we're coming towards end of year 3, next year will be year 4. Really want to be able to focus more energy into actually educating around chiropractic. Really doing kind of spearheading off of things like what you're doing now, where it's, whether it's through YouTube, just setting up platforms to do that, or blogging. I really have a passion for educating on chiropractic. So my next focus, or just addition to my focus as a business owner, is to continue to educate through the platforms that we have these days. So that's how I learned about chiropractic. Well, that's how my dad learned about chiropractic, which ended up landing me in a chiropractic office at 12, which, it was because of somebody talking about chiropractic, and I didn't know. Yeah. It affected my health, and it affected my whole life, turning it into my career. So that's really what I would love to do, and be able to grow a family. We want a big family. Yeah. So thankfully, my profession does allow me to do that. Yeah. Coming back to the thoughts of the past in the hospital, like, I want this lifestyle.
And you're creating that family vibe in a community. Yes. So that's great. I love your story. And I think a lot of, I didn't even know about the band part, but I think Hell Week and a lot of part of the band probably helped you out with the entrepreneur part.
So many things.
It's a lot of things that you can apply.
Helped out with that. So many things.
Definitely. So where can everyone find you at online?
www.empowerfamilychiro.com, or also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Empower Family Chiro. So
nice. Jeannique, thanks so much for coming. It's good to catch up because we haven't seen each other in a long time.
I haven't gotten to tell that story in a while, so thanks for the opportunity.
Most definitely. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Startup Social TV and podcast. We chat with you next week.